will present a special stage reading of his work in progress entitled Mantsopa, which commemorates the 200th year of the Basotho, will be staged next weekend at the Makhetha and will coincide with the 58th anniversary of Lesotho's independence. We now speak to Dr Mofokeng wa Makhetha about his body of work. Dr Jerry, good to speak to you. Thanks so much for coming on to the show.
Thank you, Hugo. It's an honor to be here.
So let's talk about the inspiration behind Mantsopa.
Imagine somebody who was born in the 1790s, who lives through all of the 1800s and passes away in the 1900s, passes away at the age of about 111 years.
Wow.
Somebody who goes to Moshweshwe around the 1850s and is traveling with a man, a medical doctor in our tradition called Katsi, and goes to Moshweshwe and says, listen, him has sent me and given me a message that you will be going into a war, a fiery war like a hailstorm, the Battle of Tihela, and men will fall, and it will be really a difficult fight for you. However, he says you're going to win that battle. Both these people do not have prophets' tradition. They do not have Sangoma tradition. And yet here's somebody who's able to give predictions, accurate predictions, one after the other. And so, in a way, she's somewhat of a mysterious figure that Moshweshwe must rely on. However, the accuracy of her prophecies, her predictions, give her that respect, to the point that later on, Moshweshwe, when there is drought and famine in the country, he sends her out to go and pray for the rain. And so eventually this woman gets married to a man. The man passes away in battle. Then, as according to Basotho, ukenelwa sikiselatile, the elder brother to the husband, and they get children. And so, in a difficult situation where Moshweshwe realizes Selatile, because he is Makhetha, he might be killed by the enemies of Makhetha, who has already been killed, sends them to a place called Maboloka, which is where the caves are today. Now, people make a mistake and say she went into exile. Understand, that place of the Free State was part of Moshweshwe's country. And so she did not go into exile. She went into a place of safety for her life and her children. So if Mantsopa was alive today, I guess you would probably have a big church and bishop and what have you and what have you. However, despite not having that, you go to the place in Lady near Clarence, and people up to today go to that place, throw some money in, say their prayers, and go back home. Annual pilgrimage. So
Dr.
that's the person we wanting to celebrate.
Now, my next question was going to speak to what the audience will take away from the staged reading. And one of those things I'd imagine is clarity on the actual facts. I mean, you've talked about Mantsopa not going into exile. So I suppose that's one of those things that will be clarified.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There are things that are inaccuracies that are out there about Mantsopa. Now, let me mention a few things. 2012, 13, I get commissioned to write a play about Mantsopa. And I work on the play, and then I get to find out how Mantsopa Makhetha would actually, if a child is ill or anything, and they say, and all that she says. And eventually in 2014, when I find out at the age of 58 who my father is, I find out that I am related to Mantsopa. So in a sense, I was doing research on Mantsopa, but I was doing research on myself. So there's a certain connection between Mantsopa and myself. But in the play, I have fictionalized the play so that it can be accessible. Mantsopa heals people through song. You know, the Australians usually say, I will sing you. I will sing you. So there's a great-granddaughter, Tolwana, who can sing, but she's afraid of her grandmother's spirit. So she wants the power, the everything, the fame of Mantsopa, but she does not want the anointing, the calling of Mantsopa. And so it will talk to a lot of people about this whole thing. Who are you? And when you were born, what were you carrying in your hand? And you don't need to be Basotho to understand that, because identity and calling and anointing and spirituality and all that affects all of us. And so I'm happy to say that there'll be people coming from Lesotho who have already booked their seats. There are people coming from Eswatini and all over South Africa. I know a friend and a troop of people are coming from Cape Town. But yeah, we're doing a staged reading so that in April, when we do the full staging, we will be having all the elements together and the script will have been tightened.
Paint a picture for us, Dr. Jerry, of what a staged reading is. For those that don't know and for those that are wanting to come and enjoy this.
Okay. You have the stage, you have the black tabs, so-called curtains around. You have rostra, the platforms. On this side, you have the musicians. I have Gabriel Mawande and a percussionist. You have backing vocalists on the other side. And then you have actors on chairs, of the chairs with music stands. And they read the play in full character. And because the play is driven by music, they then sing the music that is in the play, and then there's a lot of poetry in Sesotho and in English. You cannot translate some of the things, and say that in English. You just can't. And so the actors are themselves, and I'll give it away, to indicate the different characters that they are. I give them the blankets that are in line with their characters. To Mosotho, you just say Mudianyewe, you just say Khomo, you just say, and immediately that tells you something, which is why this one that I'm wearing is Chabana sa Khomo. It is to commemorate our 200th anniversary. By the way, what you're talking about, the independence was in 1966. So we will be 60 next in 2 years' time. So yeah, I just wanted to correct that.
Dr. Jerry Mofokeng wa Makhetha, thank you so much for coming on to the show. It's been an absolute pleasure meeting you and looking forward to that reading which is happening. Did you tell us when it's happening?
It's happening next week, Saturday on the 5th. And I don't want people killing my phone. Call the Market Theatre, Johannesburg 832-1641. Johannesburg 832-1641. And now you're working here, but it's only at 3 p.m., so we hope to see you there also next week, Saturday.
You will see me next week, Saturday.
Hugo's seat is reserved.